Most enrichment has to do with how we set up the enclosure and what we add to it. As most of you know, large enclosures are necessary, but if they are half empty and boring, they don't provide enrichment. The first type of enrichment has to do with food and foraging. In nature, animals don't get their food served on a silver platter. They need to search for it and work for it. This is both mentally and physically stimulating. So, I want you to take out the food dish and start scatter feeding. Scatter feeding means sprinkling the food around the cage and letting your hamster rely on their sense of smell to find it. Another thing is making the food harder to reach. You can put the food in a high or hard to reach place, and you can also use sprays. Sprays are dried plants and seeds. They provide enrichment because the upper parts of the sprays are hard to reach and because your hamster needs to pick the seeds themselves. For additional stimulation, you can make boredom breakers and forage toys that will have your hamster work both mentally and physically for their food. To someone seeing this kind of enrichment for the first time, it might seem like the owner is mean to their hamster, but that's far from the truth. Without enrichment, the hamster will be bored. Bored hamsters tend to get stressed, depressed, and less active. This might lead to unhealthy behaviors and will make it more likely for the hamster to try to escape. Another food-related enrichment type is sprinkling hamster-safe herbs, flowers, and leaves around the cage. They provide a variety of smells, tastes, textures, and are a great source of fiber. You can add them about once a week. The next type of enrichment is deep bedding. In the past, hamsters used to get only 2 to 3 inches of bedding. This was recommended by pet shops to present hamsters as cheap pets and by books that are now outdated. In time, people started being aware of the benefits of deep bedding and the bedding depth started to increase. In the wild, hamsters spend a lot of time underground where they dig tunnel systems called burrows. These burrows consist of multiple rooms for sleeping, hiding food, going to the toilet, and so on. Burrowing is hamsters' natural behavior and it's a big part of their life. With shallow bedding, they cannot do this. The deeper the bedding, the greater the chance is that your hamster will burrow. I personally use over 10 inches of bedding in most of my cage, but I wouldn't recommend less than 8. If it is not possible for you to have 8 inches of bedding throughout the whole cage, try to do at least half of the cage. If you have provided deep bedding, but your hamster is not burrowing, make sure you're using a bedding type that supports tunnels, like paper bedding and spruce bedding. Things like hemp will not support tunnels. If hemp is the only thing you can find, you can put layers of soft hay between the layers of bedding to hold tunnels better. Also, with any bedding, you want to make sure you're compressing the bedding by pressing it down with your hands. This makes burrows more stable. Another thing you can do to help your hamster burrow is use burrow starters like cork tunnels or bendy bridges that you put halfway into the bedding to create a hole that your hamster can start from. The next type of enrichment are sand baths. Sand baths are absolutely necessary in the cage because they help hamsters clean themselves by removing excess oils from their fur. They are also good for keeping nails short and can be used as a toilet that is easy to clean. Hamsters get enrichment from sand baths by digging and rolling in them. Syrian hamsters usually dig, and dwarfs will also roll. You can also hide treats in the sand for them to find. You need to be really careful about what kind of sand you provide. You can't use beach sand, construction sand, or chinchilla dust. This can cause a respiratory infection. The safe types of sand are children's play sand, it needs to be sifted and sanitized, and reptile sand, with no added dyes or calcium. To make sure your hamster feels comfortable using the sand, you can put a hideout in it, a bendy bridge over it, or use a dish whose shape provides more cover naturally. In addition to sand, it is great to provide other types of substrates as well, like coconut fiber, cork granules, beach chips, sphagnum moss, and so on. They will provide additional textures for your hamster as well as give them an opportunity to dig and play with them. Another thing that adds enrichment is hideouts. Hideouts give protection and make the hamster feel safe. There should be multiple hideouts in the cage because an empty cage makes the hamster feel unsafe to go out. If they feel protected and have a place to hide when they get spooked, they will be more likely to spend more of their time outside their nest. Hideouts can be made of wood, terracotta, ceramics, cardboard, and other safe materials. You can make your own cardboard hideouts very cheaply. There are a few tutorials in my DIY playlist. When choosing hideouts, you need to be really careful. Some hideouts are made from unsafe types of wood, some have nails that can hurt your hamster when they chew on the hide, and some have entrances that are too small and can hurt your hamster's cheeks if they go through them with full cheeks. The minimum entrance size I would recommend for a dwarf would be 5 centimeters and for a Syrian around 9 centimeters. Unfortunately, the most widely used types of hideouts are the ones that have all of these dangerous things. Besides being made of soft wood, they are connected with nails and toxic glue. And their entrances are also too small, especially for Syrians. I mentioned different hideout materials, but there are also differences when it comes to structure. Most hideouts have only one chamber, but some can have multiple. I really recommend having at least one multi-chamber hideout in the cage. The multi-chamber hideout should have at least 3 rooms, should be put on stilts, and should have no bottom so your hamster can use it to start a burrow. A multi-chamber hideout should also have a removable lid for easy cleaning. Another type of enrichment are tunnels, bendy bridges, and branches. They provide different types of textures for your hamster to experience, and they provide additional cover. Like hideouts, they help crowd the cage and make the hamster feel less vulnerable. Underground tunnels do the same thing, and they can also be used to start a burrow. The most well-known types of tunnels are plastic tunnels. However, they are unsafe. They don't provide enough ventilation, the hamster can get their foot stuck in one of the ventilation holes, and they are also often too small for hamsters, especially Syrians, and a hamster can easily get stuck in these types of tunnels. It is much better to use cork, cardboard, or terracotta tunnels. Lastly, platforms. Platforms are another great way to provide enrichment. Your hamster can burrow under them, they provide additional levels. If they are taller than the bedding, they also provide cover, and you can use them to support heavy things like branches and hideouts that could crush your hamster if they dig underneath them. One thing to be careful about is fall height. If the platform is much taller than the bedding, your hamster can fall off of it and get hurt, especially if they land on something hard. The maximum fall height I would recommend for a dwarf is 10 centimeters and for a Syrian and Chinese hamster, 15 centimeters. This is very important because hamsters don't have depth perception and have no idea they're high up. Because of this, they will just walk off the platform and potentially hurt themselves. Make sure that platforms are made from a safe type of wood, or you can DIY some yourself from cardboard.